What's up, everybody? It's Brandon Leake here of Called to Move, and you are joining us in our first installment of the Many Faces of Brandon Leake podcast. So, today's topic that we will be delving into is healing through art. And my special guest for today is none other than my really awesome friend and extremely talented poet, and yes, aka David Lorette DeMola. What's going on, Dave?
Not too much. How about you, man?
Man, I'm all right. So how about this? You introduce yourself to the people and I'll sip some water.
Yeah, like the man said, my government name is David Lorette DeMola. My stage name is And Yes. That comes from improv. And I am a spoken word poet. I work within the community from elders to kids, just basically teaching the healing side of the arts. And yeah, a little bit about myself. I am asexual. I have major depression. I am a first-generation Cuban American, and yeah, that's pretty much the real brief rundown of who I am.
There we go. And so, man, before we get delving into the actual topic itself, can you believe it's been 3 years?
3 years.
3 years. 3 years ago, you and I met each other at Sacramento Poetry Slam, and we ended up becoming awesome friends from this really unique circumstances that brought me to being on the actual Sac Slam team.
Yeah.
Because you made the squad outright. You were talented enough to be able to be on the team and to do everything with the team.
It's very
and somehow, some way, I showed up at the very last slam, made the squad, and I didn't even make the team. I was an alternate for the team.
That's still on the team, but...
And then what ended up going down was, in being an alternate for the squad, somebody didn't show up to practices, and so I ended up finagling my way onto the team. So that's you and I's history from 3 years ago, and then in the 3 years, you've released how many books?
Oh gosh, I mean, over the whole course of my thing, I don't know if it was just in the past 3 years, but I've got 6 chapbooks. I've got a full compendium of 5 years of my work. I have a spoken word album. I'm working on a music album right now. Yeah.
There we go, man. And so,
and t-shirts. Also have a deal with Amazon.
I will make sure that somewhere here below there will be a link for y'all to be able to click, as well as links to his social medias and all that jazz. So make sure y'all give him a follow. But so let's delve into this topic, the idea of healing through art.
Yeah.
So yourself, you mentioned the fact that you still deal with major depression.
Yeah.
In a brief synopsis, what would you say that experience has been like for you?
Well, I've had it my whole life. I was only recently officially diagnosed with it. Basically, if I had to put it into a much an easy to understand little box for people, I would say it's not sadness. Sadness with depression typically gets tied together, but that's just a symptom of it. I would say that it's closer to escalating dispassion. So it's just dispassion that grows and grows and kind of consumes you on a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level and social level.
And so with that, I remember shortly after you and I met, you and another poet friend of ours, Ike Torres, ended up taking this huge leap of faith and being like, yo, we're going to go to this poetry festival in Italy.
Yeah.
And we're going to be out there. We don't know how long we're going to be out there. We don't know if we're coming back. Mm-hmm. And from there, from what you told me, there was a phenomenal change that ended up occurring in your life. Could you explain a little bit of that?
So it was 100,000 Poets for Change overseas. Is from, I want to say it was 72 countries, something along those lines. Poets from everywhere came together. Every continent was represented. And we just basically exchanged our different styles and our different forms. And what's interesting is that we noticed real quick that the United States style of poetry with spoken word isn't really replicated in the same way anywhere else. So we were very unique, and it was very affirming on my end to see people actually accept it from the traditional poetry community, because there's always been like this weird divide of traditional poets who look at spoken word poets and go like,
You're too performance-based.
Yeah, you're too performance-based, and that's not real poetry. But yeah, so we got accepted basically from a worldwide audience of folks, which how could that not empower you?
Exactly.
You know, it was an opportunity that kind of fell into our lap out of nowhere. We ran with it. I will say that on the depression side of things, since we brought that up, depression has a way of erasing like your successes and making them seem minimal. So when I got back, it actually didn't really hit me exactly how big it was. Like, it felt cool that I did it, but I was actually like, I hit this depression episode for about a month where it just felt like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm useless again. And then I started building myself out of it and realizing like, no, I did something that Sacramento poets have never really done. You know, like me, Ike, and Graffiti Blue, we went out there and we did it. And we got accepted by, again, a worldwide audience. And then from there, it inspired me to basically just do whatever I want with my art. You know, like when you get accepted on that level and you realize that your work is that good and your craft is that refined, you realize that you can really do whatever you want as long as you have your form and your figure laid down and you know the ins and outs of how to write and how to perform.
Yeah. And so like in one vein, like we always hear about the way that poetry can help heal, with the fact that like it's an outlet for you to be able to get things out of your head and then onto paper or screen or whatever medium you elect to put it down on.
Yeah.
But for you found a lot of your healing and liberation from the act of being able to physically say it to people.
Yeah.
And to hear the responses. Because I think that a lot of people are like, oh, well, you know, like, you should just value your art no matter what.
And you should.
And you should. But also there is an innate nature in terms of being like, because you don't just do poetry. You do music, you do comedy, you do improv, you do a lot of things. And laying your soul bare on a stage like that, and getting negative feedback on a recurring basis could be damning for a lot of people.
Yeah, and as someone who's always been interested in the performance side of things, you're going to have those audiences that don't feel you. And a lot of my work with improv specifically, because improv isn't a medium that everyone really connects with. I met a lot of people who didn't like improv, and they would watch a show and go like, you know what, I didn't really like what you did up there. And that's a lot to swallow, but at the same time, it forces you to either hone yourself and rise above it and realize that, like, I'm just going to keep doing what I do, or it makes you go, well, I'm going to quit, and, you know, people don't like me, and then you get really bitter.
Yeah. And so, like healing, man, like in all art forms, and, you know, we connected on the spoken word level.
Yeah.
So, like, what role would you say poetry and improv and music has played in your journey, and like understanding that like healing is never a destination. Healing is a perpetual journey. But how is that like transcribed into your actual life?
I'll try not to do a 30-minute rant, but I could break this up. In fact, I'm gonna. On the poetry side of things, poetry has always been my form of introspection. Whenever I feel like I'm spinning out of control, I sit down and
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Leake here, saying thank you so much for tuning in to my YouTube page and watching my most recent video. please make sure that you do not forget to hit that like button. And if you are not a part of the Call to Move CTM family by hitting that subscribe button, then I have no clue what you're doing so far. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And then after that, leave a comment so I know what you think, and share the video so other people can see exactly what this CTM family is doing as well. And if you want to keep in touch with me in other ways, then make sure that you like my Facebook page, like my Instagram page, and then shoot your way on over to the website, because on there I have some of the best Call to Move CTM merch that you can cop, like this cool hoodie or this dope hat. And I got tons of shirts. I'm trying to come up with sweats, but they're not working with me yet. So thank you once again for tuning in, and I will catch y'all at the next video.